how's it going today? I'm going to show you some Alright guys, today what I'm going to do is, since I've had some people ask me how to make overlays for their cars for PPF or even detailing ceramic coating, I'm going to show you how I do that. And you can see here, see that's actually two images, but you see how I've got that full body overlay, truck package and all that. And then I have this for ceramic coating that allows you to clean stuff. And it's the same general concept. Actually, this is easier or quicker. So I'm going to show you how to do it with Photoshop. Come take a look at that. All right, so what I have here is I've downloaded a picture of a white Rivian R1S, and I'm going to use this to demonstrate coverage areas. So I'm going to navigate, I'm going to take that R1S and I'm going to go to remove.bg, and you can drop it or you can upload it. Let me just drop it. There's plenty of programs. So this is free, so long as you don't want the HD version, but because we're using this as like an icon on the site, we don't really need the HD version. So you see it nicely removed that background and made it transparent for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and download it and put this into my folder here. Okay, so now I'm going to come back up. So now I have this here, and I only know how to really do this in Photoshop. I'm sure there are plenty of ways, and I'm sure it's not the only way to do it, but I'm going to open this in Photoshop. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of make it slightly bigger just to make it easier to work. All right, so what we're going to do, we got layer 1 over here. I like to name my stuff. Just because I'm anal like that. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to go up here. You see this is the lasso tool, or sorry, the selection tool. And you have options for lasso, polygonal lasso tool, and magnetic lasso tool. For me, I like the polygon, so I'm going to select that. So you may not see this icon. I think the default is probably going to be lasso. But I use polygon. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to essentially select all, I'm kind of tracing the paint outline. See this? Now, if you get to a corner, you just kind of make it small, like shorter distances between the points. And sometimes you can get, just depends on how accurate you want to be. I like to take my time, but I'm going to kind of go through this pretty fast. And it's okay, like if you get a little off, but I try not to. So let me show you how to do this. It's pretty easy. And you could get Photoshop plans. I can't remember what I pay for the photography plan. I think I also get Lightroom with it, which is, something that's nice if you're trying to edit images. I don't do much image editing these days because I have a full-time videographer, but so we want to get like the most basic outline. Honestly, I can't remember if the Rivian, I did one of these and I can't remember if I didn't do a full body though, so I can't remember if the Rivian had, if the pillars were painted and the top or not, but I think they were. And stuff at the bottom is plastic, so we don't care about that. All right, and then once you connect it, it'll automatically select. Okay, so now we have, this is selected. Now, I always like to do this. This isn't a requirement, so you don't have to do this, but I always like to, I use Command-C. If you're on a PC, you Control-C, but I copy and I paste this layer. Now, you see over here, it's created a layer 1, and you can hide that, but I'm going to tell you why I do that. So this is paint selection. That's just what I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna tell you why that matters, and it's because, so you see how that's my selection, right? Because if I command or control click this image area right here, it will reselect that. Now, if for some reason in the future you mess up and you need to get back to this, you'll be able to command select and you won't have to do all that over again. All right, so I'm gonna actually hide this layer by hitting this little eye icon over here. You notice it still has the selection visible, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to layer, new layer, and we're gonna call this layer full body. And this layer is blank. Like now you can see the truck underneath, but we wanna select the full body over here. See, if I select something else, it's gonna defeat it's not gonna work right, not the way we want it. All right, so we're selecting full body. I've got the paint selection thing hidden. You go down here and your primary color, which I already have selected, it's my color, but you can change it to anything you want, either by using the slider or by a hex code. And then we're gonna go over here, and this is the paint bucket tool. It may be defaulted to gradient tool. What we want is the paint bucket tool. All right, and so we're gonna place it within the selection and we're gonna paint it. All right, so now that obviously looks a little ridiculous. We're not gonna keep it that way. I tend to keep my opacity, which you can change the opacity of each layer. You see I'm selected on full body opacity, 55%. Okay, so that kind of gives us like a general, it looks a lot better, right? But I still, I don't like it completely. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit Command D or Control D, or you can go up to, I think image, I don't even know, it's deselect. You want to deselect. Oh, select, deselect. So for me, it's Command D. For you, it might be Control D. So I'm going to deselect that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to delete all the stuff that, might not get coverage. And that's going to, and I always err on the side of not coverage, just in case a client is curious and they're like, oh, your whole car was kind of covered on this, and you didn't do this piece or that piece. So I just try to keep it enough to inform, but not enough to be a problem, if that makes sense. So we don't do headlights by default. I mean, if you do, then by all means take that off. And then you can click and it'll deselect the other piece, or you can Command D and you can just deselect it that way. But you notice I'm cutting the windows out. And the way I'm deleting this information, notice I'm still selected onto full body layer. I'm just hitting the delete key, or it might be backspace if you're on PC. So I'm just deleting that. And this looks, it makes it look a little bit better. And we may get a cat as a visitor here. My cat. So don't be alarmed if we see that. She likes to help. All right, so I've got these areas deleted. The areas that we cover versus we don't cover. All right, so now you're kind of set. This is your base. All right, so we're gonna full body. We have that, and we can easily delete that. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna right click or whatever it is. I'm gonna right click this to bring up options. I'm gonna duplicate the layer, and we're gonna call this the track pack. That's one of our more popular packages. All right, so notice how it got brighter. That's because I have two transparent or partially transparent layers on top of one another. So I'm gonna icon the full body, which is gonna leave us with the track pack. Now we're gonna edit the track pack. We're gonna do the same thing. We always start with the full body because it's the most coverage, right? And then we're gonna remove extra stuff via the track pack. And we do leading roof and pillars. I'm going to delete that. Depending upon the vehicle, we'll do like the bottom half of the doors for the track package. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to show these as the bottom half of the doors. I'm going to show the leading edge of the pillar. And actually, you don't have to be as specific when you're off frame. And I'll tell you why, is because see where its track pack is selected? We're only messing with the layer that has the pink on it. So even though it looks like I'm about to delete the Rivian rear bumper piece, it doesn't, because we're actually only focused on this track pack here. All right, so that's kind of what our track pack would look like, I guess, for the Rivian. And then I'm going to duplicate it again. And we're going to do full front. Now, I mean, this is actually another piece, I believe. I think that's painted actually. So, we can include that. I don't remember if this is painted or not. If it's painted, we would just, do this piece instead. But anyway, so, for the full front, we're just going to take this. And delete this stuff. You can zoom in if you need to. Okay. So those are our three main packages. You get the point. Now let's say, I think that is painted actually. So let me show you how we would do that. So like you're like, oh shoot, that's painted. I forgot it's painted, like I just did. So how are we gonna handle that? Okay, so we're gonna deselect this. We're going to go back to clicking on the base file, no coverage, right? Because this, we didn't select that bumper. This, we kind of need to go back, all right? So same thing. I'm going to quickly outline this piano black piece, which if I recall is actually painted now that I think about it. I go here. All right, and then same thing, we're going to do file, new layer. You can command N as well on Mac. So new layer, black lower bumper piece, for example. And then same concept. Opacity to 55%. Deselect. Okay, so now we can just keep that on if we want, and that way if we select full body, it's included. If we select track pack, it's included. If we select full front, it's included. Now it does look, 55% on this is, I don't know, it seems darker because there's a black underneath. So if you want to make it a little bit more uniform, you could kind of reduce the opacity a little bit further. But all these black trim pieces are going to appear darker anyways, just naturally. So then if you want to get real specific, you could delete emblems, you could delete the Rivian logo here, and so forth and so on. And then, okay, so now it's time to export. And so we're back to the base file coverage. So I'm going to go to File, Export, Quick Export as PNG. And then, so I'm going to put Rivian, no coverage. So that's exported. Then I'm going to add the bumper piece that I did last just because I wanted all of them. Now I'm going to go full body. I'm going to do the same thing. Export. All right, now I want to deselect that full body layer. Select the track pack. Same thing, export, quick export as PNG, Rivian track pack. And then full front, same thing. Now, if, say for example, your business changes colors or you want a different color, so I'm in full front, right? So I have the full front here. You can actually go to image when you have that full front selected. Actually, let me deselect the base file. All right, so I got full front and lower bumper piece. See how that's different? All right, so full front, image, adjustments, hue and saturation. And so what I can do here, now remember I'm only selected on the full front. So what I can do here is I could change that to blue. See how I can do that? You got a lot of different options. You just play with the slider however you want. So like I got the baby blue and I can see it's -131, right? So then I can go back and go to image, adjustments, hue, saturation while I'm selected the lower bumper piece and -131 in the hue, and now they match. See, so now you have a blue frame instead. And so, this is super helpful if you're trying to make those selections so that you're just kind of cascading these, and you can select whatever you want. And you could get real specific if you wanted to do like take the mirrors off and only do door cups or all that kind of stuff. All right, so then what I have, and I'm gonna have to bring this up. So what I have also, and this is where it's applicable to say detailers, for example. So this is my dirty Tesla, and all these are just little image layers that I snagged off of royalty-free websites. So there's no, feel free to use this commercial sort of website. And what I can do here is, if you notice down here, I have all these like mud, bug guts, whatever. So I can highlight all of those using the shift key. I can Control-C those, and now I can paste them into the Rivian. And what I'm doing here now, if I say I need to adjust it because it's a different size car, right? So this bird that's pooping, I can right click it or command click it or whatever, bird pooping, and I can kind of drag him there. Some of these are okay. This mud, I'm going to move it up here. This mud over here. And then this is interesting. See how I have this, right? And now it doesn't look right because it's like hanging off the side. I can select that, and I can delete it to make it look a little bit more, uniform, I guess. And if you wanted, you could sort of use the eraser tool and kind of get off the get the edges off, so it doesn't look as. See how I'm doing that just with a little eraser tool. So yeah, you can do that for all of these. You got mud, which we obviously don't need all this stuff here, so we can delete that. We can delete that. We can go back to mud. We can delete this piece here. And then, I want to move my little bug gut guys around, so I'm going to move that over there. Some more mud. Doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, we're just trying to give clients the general idea that, they're going to have bugs and stuff on their car. And that's how I made the clean, dirty for ceramic coatings. I took all these little pieces of like bird poop and stuff, and these mud guts, or bug guts rather, and stuff, and these mud. So then you notice it looks like kind of bad when you zoom in, but we just want these as small little images. We don't want to make this, we don't want to make this so giant. That's why we didn't need the HD version in the remove.bg website. So then I'll take this file, quick export as PNG, Rivian Dirty. And then now we have a bunch of transparent images that we can use on our website, and it's super useful. I hope this helps you guys, and I hope you can follow along and do it with whatever car you want and whatever color you want. And bonus trick, let's say for example, and you can actually make folders and all this stuff here in the layers. But let's say, for example, the image that I had, I'll give you an example. My Corvette image that I used for my Corvette logos, it had like silver alloy wheels. So you can change this by going to base file coverage. We're going back to that layer. Everything else is deselected. And then we could take this. We can take these wheels. And you could do this for ceramic coating too, really. Like, this is mainly like a lot of things that people ask about for PPF, but if you want to articulate to a client, what is covered by ceramic coating. All right, so we have this. So same concept, we're going to Control C, Control V. So now technically we have an extra wheel, okay? And then I can go to Image, Adjustments, and I could do all kind of, I could go to brightness contrast, for example, and you can play around with this, and you can kind of make it, see if you wanted to make them white, for example, or if you just wanted to kind of darken it up a little bit so it looked black, you could do that. Also, you could go in and you could do the same thing that we did for the PPF overlay, which is hue saturation. And you could make these wheels colorize. You can make these wheels. It takes a lot more work because you're gonna have to cut out all these little spokes, but it's the same concept, right? Like, you could change it that they're pink or whatever by clicking this colorize button. But again, you'll have to go in and manually select this and delete this out of the layer, so it's just the spokes that are changing. So I hope that helps. Make sure you save your work so that you're not wasting all your valuable time. So save, and we're gonna save this as our Rivian base file PSD Photoshop image. So hope that helps. Let me know what you think in the comments.